Hi, hello. Welcome to the episode of Isaiah's Newsstand. It's your host, Isaiah Edwards. The date is April the 2nd, 2026. Hopefully this episode finds you well, in good spirits and high hopes. As for me, I'm doing pretty good. Happy Thursday, everyone. Hopefully the day has treated you well. I know for me, it's been a good day. It's been a solid day. I will say, I didn't get the best sleep last night. I went to bed too early and then wound up waking up around 4, and I couldn't go back to sleep. So I got back up, kind of hung out for a little bit, and then tried to lay back down. And I think I finally started falling asleep around the time my alarms start going off. So I love that for me. Needless to say, I just really couldn't get my energy level where I wanted it. I was just too tired, despite the coffee, despite the energy drink. I just couldn't really get there. But overall, the day was fine. I will say I did have to go upstairs for about an hour to do putbacks at the top of the day. I don't necessarily enjoy doing that, but there was just no work to be had. It was a slow day. In fact, it was so slow, I actually left, I think, about 20, 30 minutes early. There was just nothing for me. I was just like, yep, we're packing it in. Everything's done. So after that, I proceeded to get a second wind, or at least I thought it was a second wind, and I went to the gym. And overall, I got a good chunk of what I wanted. Missed some filler. I missed most of my cardio. Only got like 15 minutes of that. But overall, we made something shake at the gym. It was fine, but definitely not the best session. I just really didn't feel the greatest. So, I came home, kind of felt defeated too. I've been having a bit of wrist issues with my left wrist. Whenever I'm going for like any kind of medium heavy bench press, it's just like hurting, and that's not good. That's not fun. So I feel like I've been kind of taking it easier there. I feel like overall too, my time in the gym over the past week or so has just not been hitting, and I think it's really starting to show in my weight gain, which I don't like. Even though, it's like, oh, it's just a couple of pounds, but like when you watch this shit as obsessively as I do, every pound that you keep on feels really bad. It feels like you're regressing, and I have to like talk myself out of that and understand that these are just phases, and overall it is okay to gain some weight, especially as long as you're overall consistent. It's a whole process, it's a whole thing. So I've kind of been down on myself, and all of it kind of culminated in a bad way today. But overall, it's been a good day. It's been solid. I'm not really, trying to let things yuck my yum. Overall, I'm feeling good. Things are good. But yeah, that was the day. We came home, we stretched, had a snack, and did some research. And I will say the news provided today. The news has been interesting. So we will go ahead and do our startup, and let's get into the news. Okay. All right. Our first story comes from USA Today. Why did Trump fire Attorney General Pam Bondi? We love Pam, great American patriot, loyal friend. Judging by President Donald Trump's gushing praise for former Attorney General Pam Bondi on social media, you might think he was nominating her for an award, not firing her. But that was the president's way of saying Bondi will no longer work at the Justice Department after barely a year on the job. Trump credited Bondi with doing a tremendous job targeting crime and murders nationwide, and said she had faithfully served in her role. Why then did he oust the woman he himself chose to serve as the nation's top law enforcement official? As for comment on Trump's reasons, the White House directed USA Today to Trump's social media post, which, beyond praising Bondi, said she will be transitioning to a much-needed and important new job in the private sector, to be announced at a date in the near future. which really is just saying, yeah, we're giving her the accent. I don't think we even have a spot for her right now, but I'm sure she's going to find a place, or we'll find some place for her. Like, if you, like, I feel like with Kristi Noem, she actually got it better, which is something that's surprising me to see. But, like, being like, hey, demoted, regulated to the Shield, that's something, like, once again, it's a landing place for you. They just made this thing. You're going to work as our, you're going to be at the border. Yeah, you did that so good. With this, it's just like, and also for Bondi, you could say, hey, if you had a successful career here, you're closing out your time with the administration, it's on the tail end of the term, and you go, okay, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and move to the private sector. That's what everyone would expect. It wouldn't matter what we were talking right, left, Scam Blondie or Merrick Garland. That would make sense. That would add up. But this way it's yucky. It's messy. It's a little nasty for her. But hey, so it goes. While Trump has so far decided to keep his reasons opaque in his public remarks, Bondi was no stranger to criticism during her year or so in office. She has faced multiple impeachment efforts, accusing her of politicizing the Justice Department and failing the victims of convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, which I think this was the one big thing against her that Trump didn't like, was the fact that she dropped the ball. Like, there are multiple times where she just looks like a huge wriggling clown saying, like, hey, I got these files right on my desk. We're going to handle this shit. We're going to get to the bottom of this. Now that Trump's in power, now that I'm on the case, we got this. And then next thing you know, you get a statement from, like, the Department of Justice or whatever, or FBI, whatever, whoever's made the statement, like, oh, there's no list. Like, that's not a thing. And that kicked off this whole thing of, like, oh, Trump's hiding something. Trump is starting this whole thing. It's his fault. This is a whole conspiracy. He's just, exacerbating this, even though that's what was going to happen anyway. Like, she's a fall guy in that regard, but at the same time, she should have done a better job. You would think the person you hired for this would be a better pro, but at the same time, you are kind of asking her to do the impossible. She's over here telling you, yeah, dude, you're in this shit. Like, you're all over this fucking, list. You're in a lot of statements here. They're talking about you a lot. You're in a lot of memos, man. It's awkward. maybe you shouldn't have pushed this as hard as you did. Let's see here. And then also for his whole political retribution thing. That's another thing they talk about in this article, that she dropped the ball there. But that was another impossible thing. I think she tried to push as hard as she could for the whole James Comey thing. I mean, they fired other attorneys general, whatever, to make this shit work. And even they couldn't get the job done, because at the end of the day, it's like, yeah, dude, like, you just don't have enough here. There's not enough there to go after James Comey, to go after Letitia James. Like, nice try, I guess. It was a fun little tabloid talk, but, like, you had your tantrum, move on. But for Trump, that's not enough. I think Trump really thought he was going to start with James Comey and Letitia James. These were the easy, low-hanging fruit. You lop their heads off, you get your revenge there, and then you keep rolling and you keep going. But just like term one, you don't get to get everything you want. And that's another thing too, is they keep bringing up the fact that it's like, oh, these are the people he chose. Yeah, these are the people he chose. He chose the people back then too, or they were suggested to him or whatever. The difference is these guys were all yes men. They were down to clown. They were going to do everything. And the fact of the matter is, they've reached the limit of what they can and can't do. And that's not enough for Trump. And now that shit's in the tank, we're kind of now in the second phase that Trump did in the first term, which is like, well, if I can't, get my revenge, I can't, bend the world to my will, well then, yeah, you guys got to start going. You guys got to get the fuck out of here. You're making me look bad. So I think that's kind of what happened with Noem, boom, and then you got Pam Bondi, wow, And I will say, both surprised me. I figured if he wasn't going to make a move, like, I don't know, maybe about like 3 or 4 months ago, he was just going to ride or die with these motherfuckers. And now everyone's like pointing fingers at the guys that they hate the most and like, oh, this person's definitely next. Count your days, motherfucker. Maybe. But I mean, I still think guys like Pete Hegseth, my money is still on them riding out the term. I mean, they literally already fucked up and they still, with the whole signal chat bullshit. They're still fine. I mean, this whole Iran war, it's not like Pete Hegseth is doing an amazing, stellar job here, but it doesn't matter. It's fine. At the end of the day, Trump is still doing and getting what he wants, at least in his head, so he doesn't really care about this shit. I don't think he really even gives that much of a fuck about the optics. But at the same time, I think he's officially kind of hitting the watch like, all right, time's up. You didn't do the fucking crazy thing that I asked you to do. What the fuck? Because at the top of the day, I was hearing rumors like, oh, it's looking like Pam Bondi's going to be out. Like, he's talking to her very directly, like, it's kind of over for you. But, hey, that's a rumor. We don't know if that's, an actual thing or not. And it turns out it was. So, happy trails to you. Until we meet again. That's right. Okay. Anyway, see you later. That's all I really got for Scam Blondie. I'm going to miss her. I'm sure we're not done. I mean, like she said, she's got some private sector gig. If not, I'm sure you're going to see her as a talking head somewhere. Or who knows? Maybe there's more legal work for her to do. And actually, I still I keep dwelling on this. As a dog, I haven't, let go of. With Alina Habba, she was another one. She was in Trump's legal counsel team in terms of on his campaign rise. I kept giving it shit because I kept, leaning on this whole rumor idea, speculation, whatever, that she was going to be the one that was attorney general. And if that was the case, she would be in Pam Bondi's situation pretty much beat for beat, right? At the best case. It's not, I think, honestly, Pam Bondi stepped up a lot of times. Like, she was literally going to some of these, oversight hearings, committees, and just barking back at these motherfuckers, She did better than Noam did, in my opinion. I think Trump agreed there, but it just wasn't enough to hold her. But anyway, with this Habba shit, maybe she was right. Even though she's not getting what she wants, she's, not actually able to, run the shit in, New Jersey? So, she's not getting her wish. She's not getting her wish fulfillment. Maybe she's, probably on the outs too. But I don't know. Maybe she was right to just not even touch that shit. It was too toxic. It was too hard, the order is too tall. There you go. Anyway, the final thoughts on that. Anyway, from one piece of shit to another, let's go ahead and talk about Pete Hegseth and some Army business. From CBS News. Hegseth ousts Army Chief of Staff General Randy George. So another firing. Granted, I don't know who the fuck this guy is. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has asked Army Chief of Staff General Randy George to step down and take immediate retirement. Sources familiar with the decision told CBS News. One of the sources said Hegseth wants someone in the role who will implement President Trump's and Hegseth's vision for the Army. Chief Pentagon spokesperson Sean Parnell said in a statement that George will be retiring from his position as the 41st Chief of Staff of the Army effective immediately. The Department of War is grateful for General George's decades of service to our nation. We wish him well in his retirement. A senior Defense Department official told CBS News, "We are grateful for his service, but it was time for a leadership change in the Army." George previously served as senior military assistant to Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin from 2021 to 2022 during the Biden administration after decades of service. A career infantry officer and West Point graduate, George first served in the First Gulf War and the more recent conflicts of Iraq and Afghanistan. The Army Chief of Staff typically serves a 4-year term. George was nominated for the position by President Joe Biden and confirmed by the Senate in 2023, meaning he would typically have held the position until 2027. Now, his replacement is going to be, at least for now, his current Vice Chief of Staff of the Army, General Christopher Leneve, who was formerly Hegseth military aide, will be acting Army Chief of Staff. He previously served as the commanding general of the Army's 82nd Airborne Division from 2022 to 2023. So yeah, I feel like the only problem with this guy was that he was maybe too buttoned up and was a Joe Biden appointee. So you worked on the wrong administration, bub. Those are the wokies. That's not us. I do also think too that this is just a chance to say, hey, we can make the force out happen. Let's do it, and then get someone who's more our speed, and that will look and feel better for us. Let's see. They do go through. Yeah, here you go. Hegseth has fired more than a dozen senior military officers, including Chairman of the Joint Chiefs Staff General C.Q. Brown, Chief of Naval Operations Adam Lisa Franchetti, the Air Force Vice Chief of Staff General James Strife, and the head of the head of the Defense Intelligence Agency, Lieutenant General Jeffrey Cruz. So yeah, he is deep six a couple of people, I guess, to kind of shape the shit in the way that he wants. I mean, I don't know. I want to say, oh, this is unfortunate. But I mean, what am I doing? Rooting for the military here? It just is what it is. This is friendly fire at its finest. I don't know, man. Like, so in a way, I feel a way about it because I don't think any of these changes are going to be good. But I also go, I mean, this is what we get. This is what we paid for. I don't know. Now we just have a more bristly, woke warrior army now. At least that's what we're looking at. Who apparently is still going to be bungled in Iran for God knows how long. Trump is currently saying, oh, just 2 or 3 more weeks. Yeah, just 2 or 3 more weeks, maybe a day or so longer. Who knows? Classic. Anyway, let me read this last bit and then we can move on to our next story. The ouster follows Hegseth's ex-post lifting the suspension of the air crew that flew by Kid Rock's house in Nashville last weekend, after the Army announced the suspension of the aviators involved and an administrative review. Hegseth overruled the Army, writing on his personal X account, "No punishment, no investigation. Carry on, patriots." I hate when they fucking talk like this. Like, he and Trump talk the same this way, like they're really doing shit. Like, they're really fucking pulling triggers right now. It's like, can you guys relax? You guys sound like Reddit posters. It's so weird. Just chill. Just take it down like 3 notches, bro. Just talk like a normal person. You're in a suit. You're not on a battlefield. The flyby was weird, but whatever. I don't really give a fuck about it. It's just some things that happened, and I figured, hey, it's in the article. We can mention it. But yeah, let's move on. I really want to get out of the Trump verse. It's icky. It's gross. It's fucking orange. Anyway, our next story is from People. Blake Lively's sexual harassment suit against Justin Baldoni dealt major blow as judge throws 10 out of her 13 claims. So yeah, this was a big shakeup, and I mean, I felt like it's a good way to kind of catch up, so we'll probably read most of this article, so, let's go ahead and get cozy. I'm gonna get a little water in me. All right. Blake Lively, this is where we'll start from? Yeah, we'll start from here. Blake Lively's sexual harassment lawsuit against her former co-star and director, Justin Baldoni, has reached a pivotal moment. On Thursday, April 2nd, a federal judge in the Southern District of New York ruled on Baldoni's bid to end the case before it goes to trial. U.S. District Judge Louis J. Lehman dismissed the majority of Lively's claims. Excuse me, sorry, including harassment, defamation, and conspiracy, while allowing a narrower set of allegations, including breach of contract and 2 retaliation-related claims, to move forward to trial. Judge Lehman wrote that certain claims could not proceed as a matter of law, including those dependent on Lively being classified as an employee, while others, particularly her retaliation-related allegations, were sufficiently supported to continue. The ruling dismisses some claims, including Lively's Title, VII? Yeah, Title VII retaliation claim and California Labor Code retaliation claim, as well as certain claims against individual defendants. It allows others, including her 1 retaliation claim against Wayfarer and related entities, to proceed. The case remains on track for trial on May 18th. In December 2024, Lively, 38, filed a lawsuit against Baldoni, 42, producer James Heath, Wayfarer Studios, its co-founder Steve Sarowitz, publicist Jennifer Abel. I'm sorry, we're gonna say it's Abel. Took me a while, but it's Jennifer Abel. And crisis publicist Melissa Nathan. She alleges Baldoni subjected her to sexual harassment and that he and other defendants orchestrated a retaliatory smear campaign to destroy her reputation in connection with It Ends With Us. She is seeking more than $160 million in damages. Baldoni has denied the claims. Baldoni later filed a $400 million countersuit against the Gossip Girl actress. Her husband, Ryan Reynolds, 49, I'm looking at that age gap, whatever. Publicist Leslie Sloan and Sloan's PR firm alleging defamation and breach of contract. The case was dismissed by Judge Lehman in June of 2025. The latest ruling follows a court-mandated settlement conference on February 11th that ended without an agreement. During a January 22nd hearing on the motion, attorneys for both sides presented sharply different accounts of what happened on set. He argued that Lively failed to meet the legal standard required to prove harassment, at one point calling the allegations small potatoes. Lehman responded, "A whole bunch of things can add up to a big thing." Baldoni's attorney, Jonathan Bach, argued the dispute stemmed from creative disagreements, not unlawful conduct. This is a case about making a movie, one with highly charged romantic and sexual themes, Bach told the court, noting that an intimacy coordinator was available and that the source material included sexual conduct. Lively's attorney, Ezra Hudson, countered that Baldoni's conduct was consistently inappropriate and crossing boundaries, alleging he introduced sexualized material not in the script, including a birth scene and a dance sequence which he allegedly nuzzled Lively. She did not think this should be a hot and sexy movie at all, Hudson said. Hudson had argued that Lively faced retaliation after raising concerns, including when she declined to appear in photographs with Baldoni. She said she did not want pictures with him. That was a protected conduct, Hudson told the court. All right, so that is where we stand with that. Obviously, there's a lot more details here, but I felt like that was a good way to just kind of just do a quick catch up. Obviously, that is big news. That, I mean, most of her claims are being thrown out. But that being said, it seems like there is weight to most of what she's saying, at least according to the judge. So we are going to move forward with the trial and see how things shake out. So yeah, we will leave that story there for now. Anyway, this next story, our last story, is true crime. Not just true crime, it's historical true crime, which is not something we usually do on this podcast. Anytime where I got to go back in time and do some historical context, yuck, that's hard. That's difficult for me, okay? And shit, you've heard me struggle at a geopolitical level. It doesn't really get much easier for me when it comes to, just singular issues like this. Like, hey, there's a guy who was killing another person or people, whatever. But we're going to do it here because I felt like this was a worthwhile story, interesting, and, it's just good to talk about these things, I guess. I don't know, whatever. That's how I feel. Let's go ahead and take our last break, though, and we will close it out. True crime when, true crime then, and now. Now and then. Oh, if you know, you know. Ooh. Also, while we're chilling here, one stress I definitely do have outside of the weight too, it's always goddamn money, man. I hate stressing about fucking money. I was literally thinking about this today. The number that I always need in my head that I'm like, oh, if I just had that number, I'd be good. I'd be good for a while. At this point, I think I need like I don't know, at least 10K, which is crazy. Inflation is a motherfucker. I have to deal with inflation in my fantasies. That's whack as fuck, man. Come on. All right. Our last story comes from the BBC. Utah teen identified as victim of serial killer Ted Bundy. Officials in Utah have formally closed a 51-year-old cold case after using new DNA technology to identify a murdered teenager as a victim of serial killer Ted Bundy. Laura Ann Amy, 17, disappeared after leaving a party on Halloween in 1974. Her body was discovered about 1 month later by hikers in the American Fork Canyon. The Utah County Sheriff's Office announced on Wednesday that new testing confirmed irrefutably that DNA evidence recovered from Laura's body verified the existence of DNA belonging to Bundy. Between February of 1974 and February of 1978, Bundy murdered at least 30 women. He has also been linked to many more killings throughout the country. Before he was executed in Florida in 1989, Bundy confessed to Laura's killing. But since he would not elaborate or give any detail to his actual involvement in her death, the Sheriff's Department elected to keep this case open until investigators could prove, without a shadow of a doubt, that he was her killer, the sheriff said in a statement. The case is now officially closed, Utah County Sheriff Mike Smith declared during a news conference, according to the Salt Lake Tribune. The sheriff added that if Bundy were still alive, prosecutors would pursue the death penalty against him. Man, I know this maybe sounds cruel or crass or whatever, but like, so you're saying like, yeah, man, we would revive him and kill him again if we could. God damn, I wish we could kill him again. Like, yeah, man, I know that's the American gumption for you. But I mean, obviously I get it. I also respect the idea of saying, hey, he did say this, but we can't just take a serial killer at their word. Like, this could be easily something that he's trying to do for just his ego, vanity, padding stats, whatever. You don't know. And you want to give the family actual true justice. So it's like, hey, it's better to be patient here and wait for the technology to actually connect the dots here, and it'll be 100%. So I do think that was a good call. There's more details here. They do talk about Laura. The sheriff's statement said Laura was remembered as an outgoing free spirit who enjoyed outdoor activities and shared a passion for riding horses, hunting, and caring for her several siblings. They talk about Bundy in terms of a bit of his process and all that. By all means, you can watch a documentary or read more about that if you would like. But I guess wanted to close out that, and I mean, at least there's at least a closing of a chapter there. There's an actual true sense of rest, I would hope, for the family. Anyone connected to this. So yeah, there's that. But yeah, there we go. That is the episode for today. If you'd like to help out, support the effort, I do have a Patreon, patreon.com/Isaiah News. Become a newsie today. Free ways to hit me up, IsaiahNews1@gmail.com. Feel free to follow me or the podcast on any of the socials. Subscribe to the YouTube, follow on TikTok, follow on Spotify, follow on Apple Podcasts, wherever you like to listen. Leave a like, leave a cool comment. Sharing is always caring. It could be fun. Try it out. Or don't. It's okay. 5 stars on Spotify, 5 stars on Apple Podcasts are always appreciated. But if you don't do any of those things, that is A-okay with me. I just appreciate that you give me the opportunity to yap to you, whether this is your first time letting me do that, whether this is the umpteenth time, thank you. I really appreciate the honor, the privilege of telling you about my day, whether it be good, whether it be bad, whether it be somewhere in between, and all the news that comes along with it. So yeah, thanks for that. I love that. Thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks so much for being a friend, and hopefully I see you soon for some more good news. I love ya. Bye-bye. Mwah.